Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Arena of Aurethious podcast, episode 1. I'm Al Basler, aka Aurethious, and on this episode, we are going to focus in on the Ion Game Corner. What it is, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it was and kind of how it's transitioned into what it is now. And we're going to be joined a little bit later on by our friends from the Ion Game Corner, Trash and Treasure and Zexxios, who are both content creators on Twitch. Trash actually does a lot of YouTube stuff too, but we're gonna have them kind of introduce themselves to you guys, and we'll talk about a lot about where Ion is now, kind of some other side discussions, but introduce you to the Ion crew and what we got going on, and basically just I don't want to say sell you on it, but just explain to you what our little community in this corner of the gaming world is. So. I guess before we get into the conversation with them, I do want to give you a little bit of a history lesson of Ion, because the current iteration, what it is now, has been like this since 2020, right? I think that's right. I think that's what we said during the discussion. Yeah, it was April of 2020, and Ion in some form or another has actually been around since 2012. I started it up back in September of 2012. And the idea at the time, I was actually looking at the idea of opening up a hobby game store. It was just an idea. It wasn't like I was any close to doing this, but it was an idea in my head. So while I was doing kind of the research and looking into this concept, I thought that it would be a good idea to create a website, and Ion Game Corner was actually going to be the name of the store, which never came to pass, obviously. But it was going to be the name of the store, so I figured let's create a website called the Ion Game Corner and just try and put stuff out there, maybe kind of gain a little bit of a following, so that when it was time to open a store, it would have some kind of presence already. Um, the interesting thing is as things happen, thoughts change, intentions change, plans change. The old famous WWE adage, plans change. But so the the idea was to get this website and basically have it be a hub for gaming content. At the time, I was not really into Twitch at all. I don't even know if Twitch was Twitch even a thing, or was it still Justin TV back then? I don't remember. But God, I'm old. So we did a podcast. I mentioned this in the intro episode that me, Nick, who is now with the current Ion crew as well, Kagone. We'll talk about him a little bit coming up as well, and Chris, who is mostly the third host of the podcast. We just got together pretty much every week and just talked game stuff. And what I was hoping for was that we would get other people interested in creating content for the website, be it podcasts, blogs. I was doing a blog for a while as well. And we also had a forum. And one of the things that I wanted to do, the funny thing was the genesis of the name Ion Game Corner. So Ion, if you're a comic book nerd, you might know is the entity that powers the Green Lantern rings. I was a huge Green Lantern fan, so I wanted to incorporate something like that. And the original logo was very Green Lantern inspired as well, so it's kind of obvious where that connection came from. But it was also meant to be kind of an acronym, and each letter of Ion kind of stood for something that I wanted the site to represent. So the I was supposed to be for information, which basically we were not going to be like a news service, but through blogs and podcasts and stuff like that, we were hopefully going to provide you with some gaming related information. The O was for organized play, which is kind of that term that I've used as a kind of a catch-all for any kind of organized gaming groups or leagues, tournaments, stuff like that. So we've always had the Pokemon stuff because like I've mentioned before that Pokemon has always been kind of a big game that I'm into, so it was easy to recruit people for that. Over the years, we've done stuff in Madden. We had a Madden league for several years. What else have we done? Not too much else because again, it's always been mostly focused on the games that I'm into, just because I'm typically the one running a lot of this stuff, which is nice to where we are now because now we've got other people on who are kind of taking the reins on things, and I don't have to run everything, which is great. So, and then we had the N and Ion, which was for neighborhood, because the idea was to create a community, just a place where you could come connect with gamers who are maybe interested in the same games that you are, and then the O part of it comes back into play. But and then Game Corner was it's just a Pokemon reference, so I kind of like kind of like the way that it flowed. So, but yeah, that was the original idea behind Ion. It was just supposed to be like a website slash community. Like I said, we had a forum that we pretty much ran all of like our events from, and I was just just trying to create a little gaming community. And I mean, I don't want to overblow it. I mean, we had a good run, and it was a lot of like I said, a lot of Pokemon players. Those we I knew a few people who were into Pokemon, brought them in, and then it was kind of one of those, oh, someone else kind of finds us, and then they have a few friends and they bring them in. I think at one point in our main Ion League, Pokemon League, I think we had something like 22 or 25 players at one time, which was amazing at the time. I just because normally it would just 8 to 10 is like pretty cool, but all of a sudden we have like over 20 players. It was crazy. We've done other Pokemon related events. Like I said, that's kind of where we've always focused. Um, but yeah, so over the years it's kind of shifted a little bit. We eventually left the website behind. We stopped doing the Ion Gamecast. The blogs kind of were no longer a thing, and we kind of left the website and transitioned to Discord. I'm pretty sure it was actually Platinum Howler who suggested we use Discord, and I really wasn't familiar with Discord at the time, so he kind of set it up and kind of showed me what it was, and I was like, all right, it's basically another form of a forum, really, with I don't want to say necessarily less organization, or it's I don't know, it's different. It's a little bit different. Discord, I feel like, is more focused on current than where forums kind of tracks everything. Not necessarily better. It's just I think easier to find things in a forum sometimes. But forums also kind of gone the way of the dinosaur. So Discord, I think Discord is like the next evolution of what forums used to be. So yeah, so we transitioned to Discord. We kept largely Pokemon stuff going, and then I think before we transitioned to Discord or shortly after is when I started really streaming on Twitch quite a bit, and it started becoming less of just what it was like a gaming hub, and it kind of became more of a hub for my streams. And then in 2020, we kind of came together with most of what is now the current main group of content creators on Ion, and decided to create this content creation group. But we'll get into that with the discussion with Trash and Zach. So I don't want to kind of take the thunder away from that discussion. So that's kind of where we're at now. We'll talk a bit more about that with them. So without further ado, let's not waste any more time, and let's get to our conversation with Trash and Treasure and Zexxios. All right, welcome back to the arena, and today we are focusing on the Ion Game Corner with a couple of the Ion crew. We have Trash and Treasure and Zexxios joining us. So what we want to do is basically just kind of give you a quick little rundown of who these fellas are. If you're not familiar with them already, you should be, but we're going to get you familiar with them. So we'll go in alphabetical order, and we'll start with Trash. Why don't you just, I guess, talk a little bit about your Twitching, your YouTubing, how you got into all this, and basically give the people an idea of who you are.
For sure. Sure. First of all, ew. Second of all, yeah, no, I am the one they call Trash and Treasure. As far as why am I here? Because I tell dirty jokes while I play video games. and it's apparently a talent I have. And so now I make a hobby of it. Not a living, just a hobby.
Well, it's
This,
funny. It's funny that you say that because, and
yeah.
I don't know if I've even said this to you before, but
Oh.
when I first was introduced to your channel, I
Oh
was like,
no.
I don't know about this guy. Because like, no, your brand of humor is not typically my brand of humor,
Okay,
but
sure.
but I have grown to very much enjoy your content, and I find your streams wildly
Oh,
entertaining.
thank goodness we can just end it now. Just end the whole podcast.
Cut.
I'm
All
fulfilled.
good.
Oh, it's funny. I think out of everybody in the Ion group, I think you and I kind of have the most divergent content in the sense of while we both actually kind of do a lot of retro stuff, just
Yeah.
in the kind of demeanor, like I try and promote myself as family friendly, and your humor is very not, which is fine.
No.
But I think it's just interesting because one of the things that I always talk about whenever I'm plugging the group is I always say you're bound to find somebody who is doing something that you're interested in.
Right,
So
right.
we do have quite a little eclectic group here, I think.
Well, it's amazing too because, like, not to toot my own horn, but then you got like Aurethious in the family-friendly zone, and then you got other members of Ion, and you got me down here. And it's like you're saying, there's interest for everyone. Like, retro. Zex is doing the more modern, like roguelikes and whatnot, and then you got me who do nothing anyone's interested in.
Games no one's ever heard of.
No one's ever heard of. They click on
Like
it.
Dracula.
You don't like Dracula? That was a great game.
That was hilarious. What was that one you played? It was the fighting game that was really bloody and really stupid. It was one of your Spooktober games.
Wait, Spooktober? It must have been. I assume. Are you talking One Chanbara, Z2 Chaos, a.k.a. Bikini Zombie Slayers?
That might have been it, yeah.
Yeah,
See, I thought he was talking about Thrill Kill.
Thrill Kill,
Thrill Kill!
That's it. That's the one. Yes.
Yes.
That was an interesting game that I had never heard of before.
Where they took Ken and Ryu from Street Fighter, sewed them together, and then pretended they're a new character.
Yeah. No gimmick infringement there at all.
No. How'd that game never get released? It's amazing.
So, and it's funny, we'll end up peeling back to this idea in a little while, I think, because we were kind of talking about this before we started recording. So, Trash takes a lot of his streams and he'll edit them and does a hell of a job editing them down and
thank you.
puts them up on YouTube. And the last few weeks have been very interesting, and it also kind of harkens back to the beginnings of the current form of Ion, and we'll get to that in a little bit. So, but we'll make sure that links for everyone's content is going to be in the descriptions, whether you're listening or watching. But
yeah,
we'll make sure that. But check out Trash's YouTube. There's a lot of good stuff on there, for sure.
And a lot of bad.
Well, I mean that's kind of the gimmick.
Maybe so, eh? Oh, this cursed name.
Somewhat. No, but the funny thing is and I mean, actually, this will be out before you do this. I believe next weekend you're planning on doing the 2021 TNT Awards.
Yeah,
and
the TNT Awards.
I don't want to steal your thunder, so you can explain to the people what that is.
The pressure's on. The TNT Awards every year. The problem is, as Zex had mentioned, as Aurethious had mentioned, is that I play a lot of games that most people probably don't know. Not to say like, I'm in the know. It's just no one should know these games. They should be forgotten to time. But I'm like, hey, look at that. That's awful. And so what I do is at the end of the year, I'm like, hey, guys, remember when I streamed this? And they go, no. And I go, well, let me remind you. And I rank them. Because in the end, I do hope people do discover some of these games. Some of these games are awful, but they're pretty good. They're pretty fun. And so
you had some gems.
Absolutely. Look at how many times I've tricked you guys into playing them. Look, Aurethious played Ape Escape. You played Digimon World. Look at this. Tricking you guys.
Well, hold on. You wouldn't classify those as bad games, though.
Digimon World, yes.
Was
a terrible game.
I'm not.
It's an unbelievably broken game. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
But
Ape Escape, you would not say is a bad game.
no, that's the treasure in my name.
Right.
Now, Ape Escape 2, we'll see. But Ape Escape 1, oh no, it's lovely.
I mean, this is like almost like a sliding scale of games where you have like the really good games, and then you go down, and then there's bad games, and then even below that, there's games that are so bad they're good.
Yes, it's the what's it called? The Iango curve? Or I know it's not. I forget what it's called. Where it's like a good game is good, an average game is just awful, and then a bad game is fantastic.
Didn't I just see that on Reddit the other day? I think that was
I hope
just
not.
posted on Reddit the
I
other
never
day.
go there. Never. You'll never see me there ever that one time.
So, I guess let's take a little bit of time to talk about Zex now.
Please do.
So
I don't want to talk.
You don't want to talk? Oh, great
Yeah,
job! Thanks for coming on the podcast, Zex. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I started streaming, I think 3.5 years ago at this point. The reason I started streaming was just because I was playing video games anyway, and I'd been watching a certain streamer that still streams now. He's like one of my favorite streamers, and I was like, he can do it. I think I can do it too. Obviously, my channel is minuscule compared to his, but I really started to enjoy it, and I started off streaming just Binding of Isaac because that's what I was playing at the time, and it's one of my favorite games of all time, as you guys very well know by now. And
Started?
Did
you stop?
Yeah, really? What? How many thousands of hours? Yeah. I was trying to get the highest level of achievement at that point, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to stream this. I'm going to play around with it. And I went back and looked at my videos at that time, and it's just like I had no idea what I was doing. It was like my green. I bought a green screen, and then I had no idea how proper lighting worked, and it was horrible looking behind me. It was like a half invisible black and green square around me. I was like, what's the point of even having a green screen? And then I figured out the lighting thing. But
where it looks like you got moss growing on you because you got green all over.
Yeah. I mean, even now, like even with my current setup, the green screen there, and then wearing a green hoodie, it does it a little bit, but it didn't look anything. It doesn't look anything as bad as what that did at the time. But I stream a lot of roguelikes. That's my favorite game type. I've played a ton of them on stream. I've played Isaac. I'm playing Dead Cells currently. Skull the Hero Slayer, Rogue Legacy, just tons and tons of those. BPM I've been playing a lot of lately, but I also mix it up with other game types like Zelda and let's see, everything. I play Souls games. I love Souls games. They're like one of my favorites. So, I go through big phases.
Wasn't one of my favorite things, if I go on a tangent here, it's the same thing. Aurethious does it with retro, and you do it with roguelikes, is that you guys have the experience, the knowledge. It's not a specialty. I don't want to shoehorn you into something, but that's your jam, right? And so what I like, I don't really care too much about roguelikes, but then you're explaining the mechanics, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I'm into it. Oh, Hades, you can do what? And like saying, like the most recent one was the one I was getting into there with Dead Cells. You were doing a lot of Dead Cells recently. I'm like, oh, and you're explaining it, and I don't know why I went on that tangent. I'm just saying, like, it's, even if you're not into it, you guys are able to make it like interesting.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and one of my favorite things about streaming is getting to interact with the community. Like like I could just play these games by myself, but my favorite part is like when people come into my chat and actually are asking questions about what I'm playing or just talking about their day or anything like that. I think that's common of all of us at Ion. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
I hate my audience.
Really, any streamer say that you hate everybody.
Anyone who comes in and goes, "What game is this?" Just turn off. Get out of here. Who invited you in?
Trash. You need to make sure to pick up all these individual pieces so you can get that nice furry porn picture at the end. Remember that.
Exactly. Hey, you're doing this part wrong. Listen, I am the one with the controller in my hands. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's probably one of, if not the worst kind of viewer that you will encounter is the backseater. because
You know.
I don't know. It's just I don't know, it's on one
Pokemon.
hand I get it. What's that?
Pokemon.
You get less of it there. You get less of it there, but
Oh.
I'll get into that in a second. But with the backseaters, it's interesting because you get people, and especially for some of the games that we play, and they're not necessarily like super popular games, but you get those super passionate people about some of these more obscure games, and
Especially trash.
well, yeah, especially but I mean, because so the reference that Zex was making there was when Trash was playing Tail Concerto,
A fantastic game.
and I mean, I had never heard of that game until you played it,
Me neither.
and he got someone who came into his chat who is like just so transfixed on this game, and it's just, I mean, it's just like, I don't know, it's just it's interesting, but on the other hand, it can get annoying. It's like, all right, listen, I get that you like this game a lot. I'm glad that you like this game and you're here to watch, but let me enjoy.
Tail Concerto really is the perfect game where it's obscure enough where the common public don't know it, right? It had its hardcore fan base, and I know I was successful because I had you, Aurethious, eventually end up playing it.
It looked all right.
Well, yeah,
It looked all right
you
until the
beat
end.
it.
I did. I finished
Till
it.
that final boss fight, right?
No,
Oh my God.
for me, it wasn't so much even the final boss fight, which was bad enough, but that whole last level was just platforming hell.
With the timer, the strict timer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it was like you're also it was like vertical platforming, which is like what my least favorite kind of platforming, and because it's so unforgiving. Like you miss a jump and now you're all the way back down to the bottom and they go again.
Well,
What does that sound like? I know exactly. You guys know what game I'm thinking of because I've complained about it so much, and I know Aurethious hated it too.
That you complained about it?
Wait, what
Oh,
are we
yeah.
talking about?
I thought you were going.
What?
Oh my God! It's a Shadow reference. It's a Shadow
I
Hedgehog
specifically
reference.
remember the moment that Ari broke when he was playing that game
So
because he was platforming and he just lost his
So-
mind.
There's hard
Shadows-
platforming, and then there's that.
Shadow's different. So yeah, the difference in to kind of piggyback on what Trash just said there. So there's platforming that is difficult, which is whatever. That's not my bag, anyways. You know, you guys know me by well. I don't like a challenge, but
Casual.
there's difficult platforming, and then there's just bad control design. And the worst thing, and I encountered this last night when I was playing Mega Man 11, which shocked me because I love the Mega Man games, at least the old ones. Like the newer ones, not so much apparently. But I was going through it, and I felt like I didn't have control over my character. And it's like, at that point, like your game could be the greatest game in the world, but if I feel like I don't have control over what's going on, forget it, I'm out.
That sucks too, because like Mega Man, I mean, especially by Mega Man 11, they had pretty much polished the. There wasn't too many changes they had left to make to it.
Well, I think this more speaks about me and my gaming acumen, or whatever, however you want to term it at this point. But I don't know. I guess I just enjoy simple, which is probably why I enjoy the NES game so much, because you're looking at basically a 2-button controller. You know, you don't have too many fancy controls to worry about. And it's like the more that they add to some of these games, it's like, okay, I mean, I get it. You want to add stuff to it. And I had this discussion with, I think it was Revan on stream yesterday while I was playing it, is that I get that they don't want to just put the same thing out with a new coat of paint on it. But
Go on.
like, I feel like you can get to a point where you try and reinvent the wheel too much. I don't know.
No, I one of my favorite types of games is fighting games. I actually really love fighting games. And when you're talking about going like, okay, it's a 2-button, like your Saturday Night Slam Masters, it's too simple for me. I need a little more than that. But if you start looking at like PS1 era, when they had 4 buttons, but they weren't comboing them yet, Because now I pick up a PS4 controller. It's the same buttons pretty much as a PS1, but now you got to hit 3 different buttons for this, and then you got to combo this a pattern. And I'm like, listen, that's a talent, but that's not fun. That's a skill. I don't want to do skill in my game.
Yeah, I agree. For me, and I enjoy fighting games too. I'm not that great at them, but I enjoy them. PS1 is like the sweet spot for fighting games.
Yeah.
The ones before that, like the only one I think that I really enjoy before that is probably Super Street Fighter 2, and that's similar. I mean, you had like that's either Super NES or Genesis, so you're not talking like just the 2-button NES because the NES fighting games were garbage. But I just think PS1 was kind of where we hit. I mean, you got the Street Fighter Alpha series, a lot of the Tekken games,
Tekken.
Bloody Roar.
And was my
Bloody
jam.
Roar.
I mean,
Bloody Roar.
you can name them off. Mortal
Soul
Kombat, if you're
Calibur.
into that stuff.
No one's into Mortal Kombat here, but Soul Calibur.
I am into Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat sucks.
No, it does not.
You have to. Oh, like, a lot of blood, huh? Isn't that? No, it's not interesting at all. These characters suck.
I played so many Mortal Kombats. Like that was the first fighting game I ever played. It was on the Genesis. I played Mortal Kombat 1. Or no, was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, I played Mortal Kombat 1 on the Genesis, and then I played all the other ones.
When one of the best parts of the Mortal Kombat series is the first movie, you're in some trouble.
That movie was so bad.
I just remember one of the things that put me off from Mortal Kombat was that comparing it to Street Fighter, which those were kind of the two big series at that when we're talking like in the 16-bit era.
Sure.
You had Street Fighter, which basically had individual animations for every character on all their different moves. In Mortal Kombat, every animation was the same for all of your basic moves, like your kicks and punches. Like everyone.
For basic.
Everyone had like their special moves or whatever, which were unique. But everyone's jabs looked the same. The uppercut was the same animation. The roundhouse kick, the sweeps, all that stuff was the same animation basically. Whereas Street Fighter, all of that stuff was unique per character.
You're saying it's more realistic, and that's a problem.
Maybe, I don't know.
It's
boring.
It's a video game where you can pull a spine out of a dude's head. That's the most realistic one we have.
Boring.
It's
But-
boring.
Anywho, that's enough about that. So it's funny.
You gonna let him say that?
Comparing the three of us real quick, because we were talking about that whole dichotomy of different content.
Sure.
And obviously we always joke about me being the old guy, but so like my roots are more in the NES and 16-bit era. Trash's sweet spot is the PS1, like
Apparently.
and Zex is actually more kind of modern with like a sprinkling of retro.
Yeah. I do enjoy retro games a lot. I started with the NES too. I played a lot of those games when I was a kid, and I just haven't played them again on stream. It's not like I feel like I get frustrated with them now more than I did when I was a kid. I had the patience to sit for 6 hours or 8 hours and just play the same level over and over and over. I don't have the patience to do that anymore. That's why I use save states. I'm a dirty save stater.
Oh, for shame.
Yeah,
I do
for
that
shame.
too. I do that too.
What game were you using save states on that I was giving you crap for?
Well, it was one of the Sonic games. I played all the Sonic games, and I was like, man, I don't want to have to redo all this crap over again.
Every time you go through a loop, save state.
Pretty much, yeah.
No, it wasn't. Oh, I can't remember what it was now. Oh, it was Mario 2.
Oh yeah, God, that game was so hard. Well, that one's different because I never played that game when I was a kid. That was a brand new experience for me, and those controls were very clunky.
Well, that's Doki Doki Panic 2, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that one
Recent one.
sucks. I get so frustrated playing that.
I felt like completely lost when I was playing that, having played, like, I had, when I was a kid, I'd played Mario 1 and Mario 3. Those were the two core ones that I grew up on. And then, I went to Mario 64 after that, so that doesn't really apply here. But I never played, 2 or even Super Mario World. To this day, I still haven't really played that much of Super Mario World. So I didn't know half the mechanics in some of the other... Like, that's why Mario Maker was so weird for me, because when I would get a level that had Super Mario World mechanics, I didn't know them anymore, because I'd never played it. I don't have any muscle memory. And then they added 2 in recently, I think. Well, not recently at this point. It's been a couple years since they did that, but it's the same thing there. And it's the only reason I wanted to play 2 was because I wanted to experience the controls and actually see what the game was about.
You need to play Mario World.
I don't know if I would like it.
Although you struggled with Mario 3.
Hey, I made up for that.
That's true.
I went back and did it. Oh god, that for anyone that didn't see that, I was on pace to be second place for SMB3, and I missed a door for like 40 minutes.
It was pretty
on
bad.
One of the last levels, and I could not figure out where it was, and it was horribly frustrating. And I lost. What did I get? Like 4th place on that game because of it.
Well, as part of the Ion Game Challenge that we do every year.
I didn't know it was 3rd because I think Flair almost finished it. Flair got to like the last level, the last castle, and I think he finished it right after the 2 hours.
Yeah,
that was the most infuriating thing. Is that like I knew I was good enough at Super Mario Brothers 3 to beat the game, and then that was the thing that blocked me instead of it being too hard. Like, admittedly, there was one level that was ridiculously hard that I was stuck on for a while just because of one of the jumps or something. But
I think the funniest thing about that, though, was that you watched me run it.
Yeah, but I didn't see you do that exact part. I may not have been looking at the screen exactly when you did it, So I didn't know where the door was. I don't know how I missed it after the challenge was over, and I was like, oh my god, it was like right next to the freaking P switch. But yeah, but I made up for it. I did it the next day or so. I went back and I streamed it and beat it.
Redemption arc.
Just to say I did it. I did beat Super Mario Brothers 3.
So,
oh man,
I think we should probably just shift into kind of a little bit of Ion in general, since we've been mentioning it here or there.
Hinting at it.
Yeah. So, at least the current iteration of Ion, and we started it in April of last year, correct? 2000. No, well now it's 2 years ago.
Has it been 2 years?
Because now we're technically 2020. Oh my god.
2 years.
Yeah. So, I guess the interesting way to put it is that we all kind of came together through knowing Psychic Noodle.
Psychic Noodle.
Which
he is our founder.
If anyone isn't familiar with Noodle, he's a Scottish lad who used to stream, doesn't stream anymore.
No.
And we all just kind of encountered him randomly through Twitch, I think. If I get that right. I know, like, for me, I know I was doing a lot of retro at the time, and I was going through, like, the retro category looking for streamers with, same kind of viewership, like, same amount of viewers that I have, to find channels that I was interested in, just so that I would have people to raid. It's always that, that coin flip of a chance of getting something really awful if you just raid someone randomly.
Sure.
So I happened to find Noodle, he was playing Mario 3 actually, and I'll feel comfortable saying this. He was playing it really poorly, but he still seemed to be enjoying it, which I think was kind of the fun part of it, because he wasn't I'm not one of those people that enjoys watching someone's like suffer while they're struggling with the game. I know some people enjoy that, and I feel comfortable saying that he was struggling with it because he can speedrun Mario 64, and me playing that is like telling me to do gymnastics. So I'm comfortable with saying that he was struggling at Mario 3 because he's way better at Mario 64 than I am.
There's a part to your story though that you've eloquently danced around, is that you tuned into him, and even with him struggling, you were like, "Oh yeah, this is the guy I'm rating from now on."
Yeah.
What was it? Because you said it wasn't about the struggle.
Because he still seemed to be enjoying himself, even though he was struggling, and it was just it is at the time his stream just had like a really just chill vibe to it. It was just like, hey, it's just someone who enjoys playing old games that I like, and so I was like, cool. So I started hanging out and watching his streams more, and then that ended up introducing me to the other character who is no longer hanging out with us as much. Restless Tome, who's been resurrected recently in Trash's videos.
Yes. Well, we'll see. We'll see if he can get resurrected in real life too.
And then you guys, I met through that kind of same way.
Yes, I was playing literally my very first stream as Trash and Treasure. I was just playing Dark Cloud because it was through the PS4, so it streamed itself automatically, easy peasy. And literally that very first stream, boom, he was in there because it turned out Dark Cloud was one of his favorite games from his childhood. And then he never left. He was there for every stream for the next year and a half.
How did
I'm
you?
fairly certain that Noodle found me through N64, through Super Mario 64. I think I was streaming it around that time as well, so kind of makes sense that he would find me that way.
Yeah.
Very fair.
Yeah, so then we all started kind of hanging out in each other's streams and all that stuff, and then it was actually Trash, I believe, who had the suggestion that we should kind of band together and form like a group.
Yes.
And I had like my Discord was always meant to be kind of like a community deal, and
right.
we just kind of said, well, might as well just kind of piggyback off of that, and just so we just kind of, shifted focus from what it was. I mean, it basically became my stream hub because it was kind of all that was going on at the time, and then once we kind of brought everybody in.
Well, that was it. You already had the foundations. You already had it kind of set up for such a thing. And so it just made sense. Well, listen, let's just I had my own Discord and I was like looking at it all empty, like an empty bowl. I'm like, drop it, let it smash in the ground. Let's go here. Let's do this instead.
Yeah, same thing with mine. Mine was not a very active Discord either. So it made sense for all of us to band together.
Well, and I think the thing that helps make this kind of work a little bit better than kind of the normal thing that you kind of run across as like a small streamer is any kind of group thing that you tend to run across is that follow for follow garbage.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, yeah, all right, maybe you'll bump up your follower count a bit, but it doesn't really do any good. Like the idea that we kind of had was just to kind of, put all of our resources together and, just hype each other up, promote each other, and see if we could just build a community off of it.
And I will say that it worked very well. All of us have gotten cross followers from each other. Like Myth Revan's a good example. He found me through Aurethious. Chrono Shift from my stream found both of you guys, and Lad from Trash's stream found me and Aurethious. And yeah, so it's working. It's a small community, but
I mean, let's face it, Aurethious would never have ever had the pleasure of dealing with Tornavis if it wasn't for me.
No.
Going back to Tail Concerto.
Yes. Which was fun. We kind of joked when the idea of me doing Tail Concerto came up, and part of it was, if I stream this, do you think this dude will show up? And you put out the Tornavis signal, fire up Tail Concerto, and there he is.
The beacons of Gondor were lit. He saw it and came to assist.
He slid in there like Kramer on Seinfeld. Did you find the picture, Jerry? Okay, give me a sec, Jesus.
So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We also want to mention the other members of the group who
absolutely
are part of this as well. So we've got Flaring Flames,
right?
Who actually is it's funny. So the three of us kind of all got together through our mutual acquaintance with Noodle.
Sure.
Whereas the others are all kind of a varying degree of where they came from. So Flare was part of the old Ion as far as when we were back on the forum before we started using Discord. He joined in on the original version of the Ion Pokemon League. There was I think he had someone that, and he can probably correct me on this, but I think it was someone that he went to college with, got found me through the PAX Pokemon League and started getting in on some of the Ion stuff, and then he actually ended up bringing a few people in, Flair being one of them. So Flair had been a long time Pokemon player, and just actually within the last couple of years decided to get into streaming. So we brought Flair on. I don't know. I don't know how do we describe Flair's content?
He's kind of all over the place too.
Yeah, but I like what he does because he does play what you would consider more mainstream genres. Like, at least the games you see, I've seen advertisement for the game he's playing, but it's the C-level games. And that's where all of a sudden I grab onto him, like, look at this game. If I showed 10 people this, only 2 people would know it. This is fantastic.
With an anchor of Pokemon.
With the Pokemon anchor,
he does some Pokemon as well. The thing I find interesting about Flair's streams is that it feels like whatever he's playing, he knows a ton about. Like a lot of times, like Trash, you and I sometimes a lot will be playing games that we've never played before. But Flair's games that he plays, I mean, he is really, really knowledgeable about them, and he will explain anything you ever wanted to know but were afraid to ask about him.
You're right. To an almost fault, I would say.
That's
yeah.
How do I get the circle and the square? Well, let me whip out my thesaurus.
So yeah,
he's a glutton.
That's the one thing I've always noticed about his stuff is that he knows so much about the stuff that he's streaming.
Yeah, which is nice. Which goes back to why I enjoy watching you guys, is because I can tune in, see something I'll never see anywhere else, but have it explained to me.
Yeah. So then we've also got Dracana, who is very.
Is that how you pronounce it?
Is that how we settled on pronouncing it?
No, it's Dracana.
It's Dracana.
Okay.
Yeah,
it's Dracana.
Dracana. Sorry. My bad.
Yes.
So very much horror aficionado.
Anything else?
Survival horror games.
A lot of.
A lot of Resident Evil.
Yeah.
A lot of Dead by Daylight.
Oh yeah, Dead by Daylight. Yeah, a lot of that.
Yeah. But I've never seen much Silent Hill on that channel.
She played Silent Hill 3 recently, and that was one of her favorite games before, and now she hates it.
3 was what's the good one? Homecoming. Remember when the guy said,
God.
"Hey, Call of Duty's popular. Let's set our controls like that."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then I guess to round out the group, we have Kagone, who
is that how you pronounce that?
Yes, I asked him.
Yeah, apparently.
So funny thing, he's actually the one who got me into streaming indirectly. He was streaming, and I would watch him, and I was like, I've known him for a long time. We're IRL friends, but
Ew.
So
he has IRL friends anymore. Jeez.
Yeah, no, serious, yeah, no kidding. Especially these days. But he was streaming. Actually, he did a lot of League of Legends at the time, which he still does some of.
He sure does.
He has such I guess eclectic taste in games. He plays everything. And the one joke that we always have about him is that he has so many unplayed games because he just buys like everything. And like his I remember at one point he had like a whole list of like Steam games that he had never played that he was meaning to go through, and it was like more games than I owned. That just hit games that he hadn't played that he owned, and I'm just like, Jesus, what are you doing? But yeah,
you never know what's gonna pop up on his go live notification. Like I would watch him one day and he'd be playing League, and then the next day he was playing Maneater, which is that shark game where you play a shark and you eat people.
Yeah.
And then the next day he was playing Psychonauts 2 or something. It was just crazy, just all over the place.
The best one is when he just rejoined back Ion, I guess however many months ago there, and he would do like a 3-hour stream at night, but like every 45 minutes he'd switch the game. So you'd like go and click on the history and it's 5 games, MLB home run derby, and then he switches League of Legends for 5 for 5, and like it's holy snap.
It's like he has video game ADD. He can't just
That's an appropriate way, I think, to describe it. So we actually work for the same company, and I just seeing him work, he's a tornado. Like he's an absolute tornado, and that's how I feel like his gaming is as well. He's just like playing this. Oh, that's it. On to something else.
I'm like the exact opposite. I have to like play one thing until I finish it. You saw it with Isaac. I've streamed Isaac for the last 3 months because I wanted to finish the achievements. I had to finish them. But
you did it. You did it.
You can't do it for everything though. I'm not going to do it for Dead Cells. It's just too much. Too much to do. And the game's too hard.
My problem is there's games I like, and I like playing them, and then I don't know if it's a difficulty thing or a time thing, but then just after a while it goes click. I no longer want to touch it.
I am done.
Exactly. That's how come. I talked about it when I did Final Fantasy VIII. If you look at my Final Fantasy VIII Disc 1 versus the Disc 8, Disc 4 looks mint because I never make it that far usually. After like halfway through Disc 2, I go, all right, I had my fun. Like, I just picked up Racing Lagoon. Racing Lagoon just got its first ever English translation after 23 years. I just picked
another game I've never heard of.
No, you shouldn't. It's by Square Enix, and it is the world's first car PG, right? And written by the guy who wrote Final Fantasy 10, 11, 12, and 13. So the writing is just.
So you are playing a car that gets stats as it levels up?
The car levels up, yes, but you are playing the driver of the car. And it's all street racing. And there's like random encounter battles and stuff, and there's boss fights.
Are you going to play this on stream?
If people want it, sure, because I have been enjoying it. The writing is the worst thing ever. It's the worst thing ever. But anyway, what was like? Oh yeah. So I was playing it, and I'm just into it, and I think I'm getting close to the end because like now there's ghosts and demons involved, right? And I'm just like, whew, I am done. Turn it off. I can't be bothered. So until I stream it, I'm probably never going to touch it again. Yeah.
I think that's funny because that's I think another difference in among us here too is that Zex is the 100% guy of the group.
Yes.
And me, I can't be bothered. The only game that I ever almost came close to, I think, 100%ing was what was the last Batman Arkham game? So Arkham City, Arkham Knight, yeah, whatever that. And the only reason that was because to get the ending where you got rid of all of the villains or whatever, you had to collect all the stupid Riddler trophies.
The
Riddler trophy discussion once again.
It's the worst thing in the game. It's so bad.
It's terrible.
For anyone that has never seen this discussion in our chat, it just happened a couple of weeks ago. I said I liked the Riddler trophies because the Arkham series is one of my favorite game series ever. And I enjoyed collecting the Riddler trophies because of the puzzles that they put them behind. And I love puzzles in games. And then these two were like...
I hate puzzles.
I hate it. It's terrible.
Once again, I'm in the middle. I like a good puzzle. I can play a whole game that's just nothing but puzzles. Those were not good puzzles.
Some of them were.
No, some of them were, sure, but there's like 150 trophies you got to collect. 20 of them were good.
Yeah, but if you were collecting them while you were doing the playthrough, if you had the power up to get the puzzle, it spread it out nicely,
I never made it far enough for Night or City. I played a little City, but I liked Gotham Asylum. Was beautiful game, game, and yet there was really nothing more sickening to me than walking into a new room and you see like behind some bulletproof glass a little Riddler trophy sitting on a table, and you're looking around for air vents or nothing, and there's nothing, and you're like, I hate this game. I hate it so much. Why won't you let me love you game?
In my opinion, City was better, just because it was the entirety of Gotham, and they added so much content to it, like, compared to Asylum. Like, I couldn't believe when I went back and played them on stream not too long ago. I think it was about a year ago. I went back and played Asylum and City. I couldn't believe how short they were because I wasn't doing the Riddler trophies. So it only took me like 6 hours to beat Asylum and like maybe 8 to beat City. And I was just like, wow, so short. So maybe it was artificially inflated, the game time was, with Riddler trophies. But I wanted to keep playing it because the game's controls were so perfect. They were so good. City had the perfect control scheme to make you feel like you were Batman. Like, you just kicked everybody's asses. You know, it's just, yeah. I'm going to get off the Batman rant topic.
I know. I literally felt it in me because you're talking about like City versus Asylum. I was getting ready to start explaining how I love the fact that like Zaz and a lot of those like Calendar Man, all of a sudden all the side characters, side villains are in it. Ooh, here I go winding up, and I'm like, this is not the time.
this is not the appropriate discussion area.
It's its own 2-hour podcast easily.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
There you go, Aurethious. There's an idea for your next one of your other Arena Aurethious podcasts. A best games in history discussion.
Oh God.
Wait a sec. I liked Asylum. Best games in history? Yeah, I don't think it makes that list.
City does for me.
Can you imagine what a cluster of a conversation that would be, considering the game choices for the Ion Game Challenge?
Oh God.
Us trying to compare like Streets of Rage to Ape Escape to Binding of Isaac and why they're all good, why they all deserve to be on that list even though they share nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not happening.
Guys, have you ever played saltwater sport fishing? It's pretty good. I'm just saying, the soundtrack.
You know, this probably is a good time to talk about the Ion Game Challenge because that has been a major staple of Ion since the beginning.
Reason why
it was kind of your brainchild. I think you should explain it.
Oh, don't put that pressure on me. For the exact same reason we just explained, we would never be able to make a combined best of games list. Is the exact same reason why the Ion Game Challenge works. It's the same reason why, if we can all agree, the Ion Game Corner works. We're so different. We're all so different. 6 members currently. Very different. There is overlap, but we're very different. And what happens when Ion Game Challenge comes around? 2 things happen. 1, we all get to experience each other's games in the form of challenges, such as most monkeys caught in Ape Escape in 2 hours, such as most levels cleared in Binding of Isaac in 2 hours, such as most quickest person to do a set amount of wins in Saturday Night Slam Masters, you know? And besides me just losing the topic in my head, what's great is that we all get to experience games from different genres we wouldn't normally. And then on top of it, too, I've completely lost the topic.
Well, it gives us, like, you get to take a game that you love, share it with everybody, create a rule set around it, and, we have, like, certain restrictions around the game challenge. Like, you can't, all the challenges they have to be 2 hours or less, and they have to have something that's a tangible, easily trackable progress to you can do your game board however you want, your game rules, but it's I really enjoy it just because I like not knowing what I'm getting myself into when I get into one of those games. So
I just jumped back on the saddle. So we all get to try games that none of us would typically get to try. It's great because even if you're not into trying, like say Zexxios here and Shadow the Hedgehog, it's great for fun.
2 hours full. I played that game till the time limit. I even tried to do a second run after I beat it. You do remember that, right?
No. Are you kidding? After my experience where I sat on that final boss for 50 minutes pulling my hair, I watched myself drop from first. I was actually ahead of Flair time-wise, all the way to last on the final boss.
All because of the final boss.
All because of the final boss. Anyway, so it's great. We get to try each other's games. We get to force others to try our games. And most importantly, we get to see, at least for the year, who is the greatest gamer out of the 6 of us, or whoever many are participating. Each year it's a different number.
And for the first year, the 3 people on this podcast were the winners.
We were the champions jointly.
3-way tie.
Which makes me think that we really can't use this as the barometer for who the best gamer is, because I was one of those 3, and it's certainly not me.
That year, you were the best gamer.
The only reason,
but only one of us.
The only reason why that was because Zex and Howler both chose games that I was really, really good at.
That's true. I kind of partially blame myself for that.
What games?
I wanted to be fair because
Super Dodgeball
that year. Yeah.
And Pokemon.
I didn't realize exactly how good Ari was at Super Dodgeball. He's actually way better than I was. And Trash, you just went into the hyperbolic time chamber for a few hours and trained yourself and beat me at my own game. I got 3rd place in my own game because I did not expect Ari to be as good as he was.
That first year was something special. Not only did I get to beat you at Super Dodgeball, I got to beat Flair at...
oh, man. Tony Hawk Pro Skater, or Tony Hawk Underground 2.
Yeah, Tony Hawk Underground 2. I got to beat Vortex at Pokemon.
Vortex?
I got to go in and...
Howler, not Vortex.
I can't tell them apart. 2 people who annoy me greatly. Yeah. I hope either of them watch this. Honestly, it's
that was.
I don't think we have to worry about that.
That was the funniest thing about I was actually looking over. So for anybody who's interested in the Ion Game Challenge, all of the videos that Trash so expertly put together are available on his YouTube, and it's literally a side by side each of everybody's runs of each of these games, with also a little bit of an intro from each person. It's really well done. So if you're interested in checking this stuff out, I advise you to go to Trash's YouTube channel and check this stuff out. But I remember there was a couple of times where I specifically was talking about the fact that I can't screw this up because this is the game that I chose, and nobody at the time that both of my games were run, nobody had lost their own event, and I think that was until Tony Hawk. I think that was the first one.
Yep.
And Trash was the one who was unseated someone on their own game.
I felt like that was like the ultimate shame to lose at your own game. But luckily Flair did it before it happened to me with the Super Dodgeball, just because of the order of the games.
Yeah.
Well, it's unfortunate because it's exactly like what you were describing with Super Dodgeball. He chose a game he loved, but I mean, I don't know if you can see it on my shelf. It's there, and it's pretty much transparent. I've played it so much; it's worn right through. I love that game.
So,
poor guy.
So yeah, so that's the Ion Game Challenge. We do that generally once a year, so you have that to look forward to. Last year, we actually got community feedback for one of the game choices. It worked out with the number of participants we had and the number of events that we were running.
Game was miserable.
Pokemon
Stadium? That wasn't.
It was awful.
It was what it was. It was appropriate considering Ion is heavily Pokemon.
Yeah,
a lot of people love Pokemon, so it was appropriate. But yeah, I hated it.
Well, that was the funniest thing.
Even put that on the list.
I would say
because
you put that list together, and I was like, oh, you put a Pokemon game on the list. That's definitely getting voted.
Well, there were two Pokemon games on there.
What was the other one?
There was two.
Oh, it was both. They were both Stadium, but one was
the mini games.
The mini games. Yeah, it would have been more fun than what we did.
It might have been.
No, those mini games are awful. If you're gonna do a mini game challenge, you might as well just bust out Mario Party.
That's true.
But
maybe next year.
Maybe.
Yeah, or Kirby All Stars. Those mini games are pretty good.
Oh,
so
God.
So that Ion Game Challenge is one of the events that we have going on. Lately, over the last month or so, we have been doing community game nights on Friday evenings. It's mostly been a lot of Rocket League. We also did a night of League of Legends. We'll have some other stuff going on, but basically the idea is that anybody in the Ion community is welcome to hang out and have some fun playing games on Friday. Usually one of us will stream it, but either way, whether someone does or not, the idea is just get together and have fun as a group playing games.
Wasn't going back to what you're saying, we all have our main audiences. There's a little bleed over. This is just the old wooden spoon in the cauldron, so to speak, as far as let's get even more. Let's all become friends. And it's great because I know a lot have spilled over onto my end. Look, Myth is now a thorn in my side. But it's great. No, I can't believe we were so slow on doing thinking up community named game nights. I can't believe it's only took until now. We've been around for 2 years. We just started doing it a month ago.
Well, I think
Yeah.
part of it had to do with our stream schedules because by and large, like the best days usually to do stuff like that are weekend facing nights where people, generally speaking, we don't want to single out poor Flair here who works in retail, but generally speaking, Fridays, Saturday nights are usually better for people because they don't have to get up and go to work the next morning. And for a lot of that time, I know all three of us were streaming one or both of those days. So
Mhm.
I think recently it just kind of started working out that, I mean, even like Zex and I still generally stream on Fridays, but I usually stream
Me too.
before we start and lead into it, and then if Zex is streaming it, he'll do it. But I think that might have been one of the reasons. But either way, yeah, it definitely was long overdue to do something like this because it's fun to have like the leagues and tournaments and all that stuff, but just being able to get together with a group of people and just play something for a night, like we did,
Just
like
something
kind of like we did with Among
unorganized.
Us when Among Us wasn't as annoying.
When it
We
wasn't,
haven't done Among Us since they changed everything.
it's
so
now an
drastically.
RPG with audio built in and stuff. We got to try it. We got to try it.
It's funny. I was what was this? Probably like a week or two ago. I was visiting my godson, who is 8, and he was like playing Among Us on his tablet, and I'm like, I guess it's still a thing. I don't
You
see it as
lean
much
over his
anymore,
shoulder.
but
Yo, go vent, son. Go vent.
so yeah. So if you're interested, again, the Discord. If you're watching this on video, the Discord link is on the screen. Either way, it'll be in the description. So get on over to the Ion Game Corner Discord and join us on community nights. That's always super fun.
Yeah,
And
it
I did
really is.
mention the leagues and tournaments. The big one that we have going on, it just relaunched and it's generally always going, is the Ion Pokemon League. So if you're into Pokemon battling, you can join in on that. Trash and Zex are former Ion Pokemon leaguers when they had their little Pokemon phases.
Yeah.
Those
So,
reactions were priceless. I don't think we need to explain anymore. That was perfect.
It's just be prepared. You'll have a lot of people who are very helpful. They will tell you exactly what you're doing wrong as they destroy you.
That is a good way to put it.
It's very nice crew you got.
Well, like Trash mentioned a little while ago, like there is a very heavy Pokemon player presence on the Discord just because for a long time that's kind of what Ion was. It was mostly a Pokemon community because that was who I was able to bring in because I was playing a lot of Pokemon at the time. So we've kind of always had leagues and tournaments and stuff like that going on, and I will say we actually have quite a diversity of experience levels and I don't want to say skill level. That's not the right word I want to use, but we have some people who are hyper competitive, and we have more casual players too. So it's actually quite a nice little mix that we usually get.
Sure. Absolutely. I'm not, hey, it's not wrong. I mean, my reaction might seem what it is because it's almost on par with the whole Shadow the Hedgehog thing where I feel very beat up afterwards. I wanted
That's
to
a good
love
way
it
to put it.
and I felt betrayed. It is a very like I said, it honestly, this is me as ex member of it. It is a very competitive, but not like they will explain everything to you. They will help you out. So it's not like you're going to be constantly on the bottom. they're going to be rooting for you to go to the top. I just didn't have it in me to go to the top.
Couldn't quite be the very best, like no one ever was.
It came down to cheating on Digimon, and I just couldn't allow myself to do it.
I guess while we're talking about Pokemon stuff, worth mentioning that we also have the Bidding War League that Flaring Flames runs. That runs in seasons, and I believe he's actually going to be starting up a new season of that within the next month or so.
This will be the third.
Yeah, it'll be season 3 of that, and that's kind of a draft style league. If you're not familiar with that, typically how those work is that you literally go through like a Pokemon draft, and if you have a Pokemon, you're the only one who has access to it. This one's a little different because instead of doing a draft, Flare does it as an auction style. So you have a certain amount of points basically to spend, and you bid on Pokemon, and that's how it goes with that. So another league that you could potentially look at joining. And rumor has it that we may have a second coming of a Pokemon tournament that we ran last year that people seem to get into. I don't know if Trash, do you want to say anything about it, or if we want to kind of leave some mystery?
I might as well, because this bad boy, I was going to say it at the TNT Awards, but this is probably going to get released the same day. So I might as well say it. Ooh, world exclusive. The Fox News alert.
Breaking news from Arena of Aurethious.
Yes, Arena of Aurethious exclusive. Let's head down to the bleachers. Yes, after what I consider the very, very successful tournament event, free to all entrants, the random extravaganza that we had last year, I've decided we need it again. So it is coming back, the random extravaganza part 2. However, as I just said, I am a dirty Digimon player. That's my bag. And Digimon has this fun mechanic, has a bunch of mechanics that Pokemon doesn't have. And one that Aurethious I know loves is called death. And so I'm reformatting the way the tournament works to include such a mechanic. But in a way that I think Pokemon players will take to it. It's just a new way of looking at a very, very old franchise.
Very interesting.
That'll
a little teaser for the people.
Exactly. This week, this Friday, I will be putting it up on the Ion Discord. Once again, link down below here.
Yes.
To start getting entrants in, because I want to start that by February. So that gives us like 2 weeks to get a crew together.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's it. Yeah.
And we talk a lot about Pokemon because, like I said, that's kind of a big chunk of the player base on the Discord server. But we have some other stuff going on at time to time. We do have a League of Legends section there. We go through kind of phases where people play a bit of League. Up until recently, Zex was hosting a Minecraft server that got some play for a while. So the general idea is that if there's enough interest in a particular game, then we'll do stuff for it. So if there's a game that you're playing and you're looking for people to play with, no better way than to just test the waters, see if there's people on the Discord who are interested, and if we got enough people to warrant it, we'll get something going for it.
It's that simple, yeah. If you want to play the game, if you want to get people to play the game, etc., you want to join in, it'll happen. It will happen. Simple.
Right, and sometime down the road, we're going to have the Ion Digimon League, right?
Nope. No one will join me. I can't. You know how bad it is. Like Lad will follow me pretty much anywhere I go. Even Lad's like, nah, I ain't playing that. No, thanks.
You can't get Lad on board. You're not gonna get anybody on board.
Exactly. It's just too much Pokemon, and for some reason, people are in this weird mindset where they think Digimon's like a rip-off of Pokemon. So it's just not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen, unfortunately.
We're gonna find a way to do some weird one-off tournament event sort of things on just like random stuff like Beyblade.
Oh, remember when Beyblade, the PS1 game was sweetness.
You guys should do like a mini Yu-Gi-Oh tournament or something.
I'd hate it.
You would hate it?
I love Yu-Gi-Oh! I played it for years, but the game has passed me by.
I was saying earlier, pre podcast here, is I found my cards recently. I found my thick deck of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and I issued the challenge to Aurethious. I said, I'll just take my camera, point it at my desk, and we'll duel, baby. You can bring it. I'll destroy you.
We'll have to stream that.
That would be so bad.
We'll
I think I have the paper mat and everything for it. Is that your little teeny deck? Boy,
Yeah.
it better be specialized.
I
will steamroll you.
For those of you who are listening and not watching, this is I'm holding in my hand my Yu-Gi-Oh deck that I used to use when I played.
You're not allowed to use that with your hands. You have to have the arm thing. You gotta
The dual disc.
yeah, the dual disc.
Well, it's
build mine out of an Amazon box.
You got so this funny thing was when those came out, those dual discs came out as like a toy that you could buy. I was judging Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments at the time at the local card store that I played at, and like we had a couple of kids that would come in with them, and I would like, you want to use those, great, but you're gonna kill your cards because they were the slots on that thing were only designed to fit the cards, but not cards that are sleeved. I'm like, you're gonna butcher your cards with that. Like, if you want to use that, but I would.
Well, I've been to a bunch of different schools. I used to move around a lot. One school I went to was not great, and it was just when that thing came out, the big plastic arm one. I remember a kid brought it in, showed it off to everyone, and two classes later was recess, and that thing was already in 3 pieces. No one was going to have him be happier than them. You know? Why would you buy that? It was so brittle and so just whackable. You know?
I mean, cool idea, I guess, but yeah, just the way that it was designed, and you know, Yu-Gi-Oh doesn't release sleeves with the cards like Konami never did, or Upper Deck. I don't remember who was producing the game at the time, but they don't. Yeah. They never release sleeves, so it's like, why would they even factor that in? Why would they even care? But yeah.
Well, yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh cards are a little bit smaller, aren't they? They're just a touch smaller than a standard card.
Yeah, I believe so, because that's why. Yeah, you had to get specialized sleeves for it. They were specifically for. I think they're even a different size than like Magic the Gathering cards too.
I could see that.
But yeah, so yeah, maybe we'll. I've tried doing Yu-Gi-Oh on stream before, mixed results.
I couldn't imagine what a Yu-Gi-Oh video game would be. It was one thing when it was cards and math; it felt organic. I think I tried playing
Forbidden Memories.
Yeah, I think that was it, and I was so lost. It was so bad.
They did a good job with a lot of the games where they kept them very faithful to the actual card game.
Sure.
And so like the latest one, I think that the one that I play on the Switch every now and again, it's what's it called? Legacy of the Duelist Link Evolution. And that's it's basically the card game, and then a lot of them they would release, and they would have like a story mode that you would go through that basically mirrored the story of whichever version of the anime was currently on. Sure. So you would go through like those stories, but like this one, like you can do like a lot of the classic anime duels with the actual decks, or you can use your own. But then like there's the online component of it, and that's like, forget it. That's like, for someone like me who is like likes the like kind of the older version of the game before they added 15,000 different types of cards. It's like I go through and it's like I play someone and I'm just watching cards fly by, and I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. I'm basically just a spectator at this point.
Isn't that amazing? That is something. Pokemon, because once again it gets brought up so much here, is everyone wants to complain about the new changes they make to Pokemon, as far as Dynamaxis or Nature That, or et cetera, et cetera. But it's funny because, like you're saying with Yu-Gi-Oh, look what they did to that. Even Digimon, they started bringing in like, oh, it's a Digivolution, but now you can DNA Digivolution with another guy to make a third guy. You're like, how about just leave it how I like it and just make it better instead of doing this?
Yeah. It goes back to the whole thing about feeling the need to like reinvent the wheel. Like, I get that you don't want to be stagnant, but there's a middle point to this that we should probably be shooting for.
Yeah, I think nostalgia is strong enough where you could just milk something without having to wreck it for a while, and you would probably get more money milking something for 10 years straight without changing than going 20 years and constantly.
I think that's why remasters are so popular.
Oh, I hate remasters.
Years. They haven't. A good example is Link's Awakening for the Switch. They didn't change anything about that. They just put a new skin on it, basically. I mean, but it was good. It was fun. I never played the original, but the new one was fun. I enjoyed it.
Did they charge you full price for it?
Yes. Because it's on Nintendo? Because Nintendo doesn't know what a sale is at all.
It was the same thing with Final Fantasy VIII. They just reskinned it, and they didn't even like really reskin it. They just kind of went, it's better pixels, and full price again. In fact, they did make a couple of changes. They said, look at this GF. She's showing too much skin, even though she's not human. Let's just color that in. It's like, why? Just how about don't touch it at all then? Kudos, I guess, to Final Fantasy VII, where they're going to actually try and change some stuff. But even then, just let the happiness exist in the back in the day.
That's you especially mentioned the Final Fantasy games, since pretty much all of them have got some sort of remaster, at least a lot of the older ones. At this point,
A lot of the older ones, yeah.
And
Yep.
I went through 1 through 7 all on stream over the last couple of years, and for me, like, for the most part, I always tried to I wanted to mostly play the original versions of it instead of, I mean, there was a couple, like, I think obviously the ones that were never properly released in the US, like 2 and
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Like, I played the remake versions of those. But I mean, I think I'd just rather play the original. Like, I remember, like, so you and Tome had that Final Fantasy VIII challenge that you guys were gonna do, and wasn't he was playing the remaster and you were playing the original, right? Or was it the other way around?
Playing remaster, I was playing the disc.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I was playing the PS3 version, which was the original.
Yeah. And it's
Yeah.
like you could see the difference, but I'm watching his at times and I'm like, it's not that great of a difference. Like, what's the point?
You play well. This is it. Like the only major changes they did is that if you hit pause now, instead of just a vibrate option, you can go down and like speed up the game or like lower all enemy levels to 1. What's the point of playing?
Wait, that sounds
Like,
great.
look at you.
That sounds perfect to me.
No, look at you,
That's right up
Zex.
Aurethious' alley. I want to one-shot the last boss. Easy.
Zex doesn't play Final Fantasy at all, right? No interest in it, right?
Nope.
Let's say
Tried.
magically you drank something that looked a lot like sink cleaner, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, Final Fantasy, I want to play that. Would you turn on those cheats? I would hope not.
No.
Exactly. That's useless. Don't play the game if you don't want to play the game.
I don't play games on easy mode either. I always pick like normal or hard if I've played it before. Hard, but if it's the first time I've ever played it, I'll just do whatever the default difficulty is.
Certain games I'm fine playing easy, but for the most part, yeah, just give me the game they wanted me to play. You know?
Not me.
Like
I have no need for a sense of accomplishment.
Or you can play games that don't require or give you an option, like Dark Souls, and you just get thrown into it. That's whatever you get.
That's what I liked about the whole debacle around Sekiro. Remember them, and they said, listen, this is the game we I think in the end they ended up caving, but for the longest time they're like, this is the game we made, play it or don't play it. We don't care,
I don't remember it having a difficulty scaler. That was the hardest Souls game I've ever played.
I hope
By
they
far.
stuck to their guns then. I really do. I know I just played Ghost of Tsushima, right? And it does have a difficulty mode, but boy, does it bully you. If don't get me wrong, I didn't actually click on it, but when you're going through, it's like, casual mode. No samurai would ever have honor touching this thing.
Passive aggressively telling you do not pick this option.
Exactly. Easy journey mode. Why don't you just commit seppuku? Like, it's mean. I'm like, all right, I like it. Let me go high up difficulty then. I don't want my game bullying me.
They had something similar on Streets of Rage 4. So after I abandoned ship on Mega Man 11 yesterday, I was like, oh, what do I play? And then Flair was like, oh, Streets of Rage. You like Streets of Rage? I'm like, oh, that's a fair point. So I fired it up, and of course you choose your difficulty level, and I forget what the lowest one was, and the description was for people who like everything about beat 'em ups except getting beat up.
Sadly. I couldn't even put the joke. I have a joke that's like, oh, this it's not there. It was gonna be something about how, like, hey, your dad used to love this game, but you suck, kid. I don't know. It's just the pieces are there. Someone put it together.
But yeah. So I guess I think that's pretty much everything we wanted to hit on as far as Ion goes, anything else anybody can think of they want to get out there?
Community nights, Discord tournament.
I think we hit all the major ones. We talked about everybody.
Me, Aurethious. And I don't know. I'm feeling pretty content.
Cool.
As far as just like just a general, hey, this is us. Hello, hi.
There we go. Yeah, come hang out with us. It's a good time.
Yes, it is.
All right, so as we get ready to wrap up, I guess like I said, we'll have links and descriptions. But you guys want to plug anything you want to plug? Twitch, YouTube, social media, anything?
Yeah, let's go reverse alphabetical this time.
Okay, Zex, you're first.
Sure. So I stream on Twitch as my primary platform. So username's Zexxios. I also simultaneously stream to YouTube and Facebook. So if you don't want to watch
that publicly,
Twitch, I don't care. What's Twitch going to do? They put ads in front of all my. I can't turn it off.
You can't say that on an arena of Aurethious.
Just believe me.
Yeah.
Pokeball over his face.
But yeah, I primarily stream on those, and yeah, I'm active on Discord. So, PU trash.
Oh, hi. Yeah. So pretty much what I do every week, Friday, Saturday, I'll throw together some sort of stream of something you probably have no interest in, but hopefully I can make it interesting for you. And then I typically also like to pump content out onto YouTube, typically heavily edited content that's tries to make me even more appealing to you. And then, yeah, as of right now, that's pretty much it for me. You can still catch me around, of course, on the Ion Discord or whatnot, community nights, etc., etc. Hopefully I can see some of you wonderful people there. Thank you.
Excellent. Sounds great. And we'll have you guys on another time. Obviously, we had so many topic ideas come up, as Zex pointed out. So
tangents everywhere.
we'll have everybody on for that best video games of all time discussion.
Riddler trophies, pretty good. I'm just saying.
So, all right, guys. Well, thanks for joining. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a good one now.
All right, there you go. That was Trash and Zex joining me from the Ion Game Corner to talk about the Ion Game Corner. Hope you guys learned a little bit about what it is, and hopefully interested you guys in coming to check us out. Again, the links, if you're watching this on video, is on screen. If you're listening, it'll be in the description of the video. But yeah, come on, join us. It's a fun time. We're a very, very small community at the moment. We're hoping, obviously, to get bigger as we go. It's kind of the goal, because more people we have hanging out, more fun we all have. The game nights that we've been doing these last month-ish, we took a little bit of time off for the holiday break, but it's been a lot of fun. Just that whole idea of just getting people together and just enjoying games together, because before that we were primarily just doing all of our stuff on Twitch, and it's cool. Like, Twitch is great. You're still you're connecting with people, but by and large, unless you're playing something on Twitch that specifically invites other people to join you, it's largely you're doing your thing and everybody else is kind of tuned in and experiencing it with you in some way, shape, or form. But it's just a different experience to just get together with a group of friends and play some games. So that's what the community game nights have been. It's been a lot of fun. Again, we've got the leagues for Pokemon. So if you're a Pokemon player, you're going to find a lot of people who are like-minded and interested in Pokemon on the Discord. So you'll definitely want to check that out. Again, we have like I said, the Ion Pokemon League. It's kind of, the idea behind it is that it's always running. We did take a little bit of a hiatus for a few months, but generally speaking, when it's going, it is always running. So if you come across us on Discord and you're into Pokemon, there's something that you can jump right into. You don't have to wait for like the next season or the next tournament to start. It's there. You can just jump right in. If you ever need to take a break for a week or you're on vacation, or for a few weeks, just need some time away, that's fine. You can do that and then jump right back in whenever you're ready. So that's kind of the general idea with that. And then we have some other things. We have, like I mentioned, Flaring Flames is Bidding War League, and the next iteration of the Extravaganza tournament that Trash is kind of spearheading. So a lot of fun stuff going on. And again, just a lot of the content creators that we have. There's so much different things going on. We gave the rundown of everybody, so I don't definitely need to do it here. But again, such a variety of things going on as far as who's streaming what. Like I said, you're bound to find somebody who's playing something that you're interested in. So yeah, it's not like while we do have, like I said, we do have a lot of Pokemon players. Like it's not the content is far from Pokemon centered. So it's a good time. So hopefully you'll join us. So yeah, I don't want to go on for too much longer. So again, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to tune in to the podcast. This has been a lot of fun for me to bring this to you guys, and I'm looking forward to having some more fun conversations. Again, I know we did a lot. This is a lot of gaming today, and we are going to do a lot of gaming stuff because it is one of my main hobbies. But we are going to throw in some other things into the mix. So maybe the next episode, I'm hoping to maybe talk some football since we are right around the corner from the NFL playoffs. So no promises because I got to line somebody up for that. So we'll figure that out. But yeah, so we'll change it up a bit so it's not always just games, and hopefully we can find some other things that you might be interested in that we can discuss. So as always, you can catch me on Twitter. It's at Aurethious there. Catch me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Aurethious. I'm on YouTube as well. Obviously, if you're watching this, you know that. If you're watching this on YouTube. So please like the channel, subscribe, whatever. I'm so bad at YouTube. Subscribe to the channel. It's so weird because it's following on Twitch is the equivalent of subscribing on YouTube, and subscribing on Twitch is when you actually pay, which is something else. It's called joining, I think, on YouTube if you're monetizing. I don't know. It's above me right now, but yeah. So subscribe on YouTube and check out each episode as they come out. So. But that's enough for me today. So as always, guys, I appreciate you all tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Arena of Aurethious.